Welcome to Kemetic Ascension for July 5th, 2020. We are so happy that you have chosen to join us on a beautiful Sunday. At least it's a beautiful Sunday where we are. We're hoping that regardless of whether it's raining or sleeting or whatever is happening where you are, it is still a beautiful Sunday because you've chosen to join us for Kemetic Ascension by the Shrine of Ma'at. So we're so happy that you are here with us. And I just want to go ahead and ask, as you are filling the room, if you can begin by telling us where you are from. Where are you right now? Where are you? How are you coming to partake in Kemetic Ascension? Let us know where you are streaming from so we know that you are here with us. We are so ecstatic that you've chosen to do so. You know that the Shrine of Ma'at is a spiritual institution based in Harlem, New York, that actually has members that span virtually the whole world wide. And we are so pleased that we are able to come to you once again every 2 weeks for Kemetic Ascension. It is our version of Kemetic services. It is our opportunity for the Kemetic community, the Kemetic family, the Shrine of Ma'at family to come together, pray together, serve together, and to recognize the divine entities, the Neteru, that guide our universe. And so we are always ecstatic that we are able to come to you all over the internet. Now let me say to you that we are streaming on both YouTube and Facebook. That's something that we've begun to do quite recently. And I truly believe that it was in divine order that the Shrine of Ma'at began streaming on the internet before this difficult time, before the pandemic. We have always been prepared to speak to you globally via the internet. And so while we don't have people in-house right now due to the pandemic, we are so pleased that we can continue to meet with you wherever you are so that we are able to come together and galvanize divine energy for the use of our community. And so once more, please tell us where you are at.
So we have Atlanta in the house.
Atlanta.
Harlem.
Hot Atlanta.
Harlem, St. Louis, Missouri.
Harlem. Who's in Harlem?
Michelle Kings.
Ah, not someone we know, huh?
So,
interesting.
We have Bermuda.
Bermuda.
Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
Rhode Island, temporarily. That's Abigail.
That's Annette Abigail, right?
We have Baum, Alabama.
Baum, Alabama? Oh, I don't know that part of
Denver.
Alabama. Denver.
Jamaica. Trinidad. Mexico. Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wonderful.
London. Columbus, Ohio.
Wow.
St. William from Phoenix.
Woo! St. William.
Paris, France. We have Sinette Lisa from Philly.
Paris, France. That's a long way away. Wonderful. Sinette Lisa Attaway from Philly.
Yes, we have South Africa.
Wow, South Africa in the house.
Yes. Let's see. Spartansburg, South Carolina.
I think that's got to be
Sinette Anitra.
Sinette Anitra, right.
Virginia.
Wonderful.
I see Sinette Fafanta's in the house.
Wonderful.
From Hyattsville, Maryland.
Yes. Wonderful.
Hartford, Connecticut. That's Sinette Nikki.
Wonderful.
We have Hemsanu Abu Zephaniah.
Where is Abu Zephaniah right now? He's not in New York.
I'm not sure.
He's someplace out there.
Abu Zephaniah.
He travels quite a bit. One of the priests of the Shrine of Ma'at, the 9 members of the Wenwet. He travels quite a bit. So I'm wondering where in the world he is today.
We have California. We have Brooklyn, New York.
Wow.
Florida. Hot Atlanta. More from Dallas, Texas. More from Maryland.
Wow.
Islanders in the house, Long Beach.
Islanders? Long Island or Island
Probably
where?
just islands. Long Beach, Jalen, California, Delaware, and Bergen County. It looks like Zephaniah's in Brooklyn at the moment.
Zephaniah's in Brooklyn. So he's local right now, right? It is wonderful to have you all with us. We know that when we come together at the distant points on the planet, and we all hesi together, we all pray together, we all focus on the divine energies that we call the Neteru, we are able to do something different than we were able to do on our own. And so I am so pleased that you've joined us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So many of the folks that are there, Anika, are actually initiates. We have the Hemsanu, the first 42 initiates, and we even have the initiates that are completing their entire initiation tomorrow. They know when their coronation will be. I'm not going to announce it online, but you should know that we have a group of people who are joining as full members of the Shrine of Ma'at. They're going to be completing their initiation tomorrow, and we are so pleased and proud of them. We know that they're going to do the Shrine of Ma'at proud. So, dua, 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 and tur for them all. We're pleased to have you on with us today, and it's just an amazing thing.
So
yes.
We have Abut Seshat and Abu Ka who joined.
Two more of the priests, Abut Seshat out of Connecticut and Abu Ka out of Philadelphia. Wonderful, wonderful. So two more of the members of the Wenwet. You'll hear us refer to the Wenwet. I'm sorry? Columbus, Ohio? So there are a lot of people. I think that we went on a few minutes late. They were waiting for us, huh? They were waiting for us. So I want to say dua for you all coming on the internet, as Baba Hebrew calls it, to join us for Kemetic Ascension. So, you know that this is not theater, right? This is not theater. You're not looking at a recorded video. Well, you may be looking at a recorded video if you're playing it later. But you should know that this was filmed live and that all of the people that are on there with you are actually watching it live. And so we begin Kemetic Ascension with the ritual that marks our shrine. And so I know that you should be standing in the position of adoration, preparing to do that ritual that we call the opening of the way. Did you have something to say,
Yes,
Anika?
before we do, I just realized we have people in the chat room on YouTube who are also shouting out where they are.
Wonderful. Where are you from, YouTube?
So we have New Jersey, Sacramento, California,
wow,
Liberty, New York, South Florida, Las Vegas,
wow,
more from Harlem, that's Annette B.
Wonderful.
Patterson, New Jersey, Waco, Texas,
wow,
Dubai, Killeen, Texas.
Amazing.
Yeah, so where are y'all located? We're in Harlem.
We're in Harlem. We're based in Harlem. I honestly believe that the person that's furthest away is in South Africa, right? Do we think that's the furthest?
Yeah.
That might be the furthest, right? And we've had people from near and far, and so regardless of where you are, we are pleased that you are here. Whether you're around the corner or you're on the other side of the world from us in Harlem, New York, we are pleased
North
that
Carolina
you've chosen to
and
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
All over, huh?
All over the world.
Wonderful.
We have people in both YouTube and Facebook.
Wonderful, wonderful. So
Boston, it's still going.
It's still going, huh? People are still coming in. Wonderful.
This is amazing. Okay.
So
South America, Suriname, and the Bronx.
all over the world.
We are so excited
over the world.
to have all of you with us.
It is amazing that you have chosen to join us for Kemetic Ascension. You probably know, most of you, that our services called Kemetic Ascension begin every other week. We don't meet on our intermediate week, but we would love for you to continue to come back and join us. So, we are now going to do that ritual that marks our shrine. The ritual that was given to us by our shrine elder, Baba Heru, Ankra Samad Sepata. And so I know that you know what it's called. It's called the opening of the way. So many of you who have been here, who are initiates, who have partaken in Kemetic Ascension are familiar with it. So please, you should be joining us by standing in the position of adoration. And you probably know that that means that you're going to be standing with your left, both of your palms exposed in front of you, because you're going to be both giving and receiving energy. Mm-hmm. And from here, your left hand is going to be a little further forward and perhaps a little higher up. And your right hand is going to be a little further back and a little lower than your left hand. And then you're going to stride, just a little stride forward with your left foot. This is the position of adoration. This is how our Kemetic ancestors gave and received divine energy. Because you are a divine being imbued with all of the powers of the universe. And so as you stand in a position of adoration, you are actually creating what we can call a divine circuit, both giving and receiving divine energy. And so as we stand in this position, we're going to breathe deeply. Remember to breathe from here. Breathe from here. And you're going to chant out the word for divine everlasting life. Ankh. And then we will go in to the rest of the ritual. If you're new, you please watch and try to learn. And if you are someone who has been part of Kemetic Ascension, if you're an initiate of the Shrine of Ma'at, make sure that you are doing this with us. We are going to open the way around the world. It's a powerful, powerful thing to do. So, begin with the breath.
Netrak in Bethet.
Oh, a Netrak in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet. A Netrak Hapi.
A Netrak Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
Turn to the right.
A Netrak Circuit.
A Netrak Serket.
Nuke Circuit.
Nuke Serket. A Netrak Kebsanu.
A Netrak Kepsanu.
Nuke Kebsanu.
Nuke Kepsanu.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. A Netrak Ast.
A Netrak Ast.
Nuke Ast.
Nuke Ast. A Netrak Ast. Amset.
A Netrak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. A Netrak Neat.
A Netrak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat. A Netrak Dwamutef.
A Netrak Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. A Netrak Newt.
A Netrak Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke Newt. A Netrak Gab.
Netrak Gab.
Nuke Gab.
Nuke Gab.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
A Netrak Shoe.
Netrak Shoe.
Shoe. Shoe. Shoe. Shoe.
Nuke
Shoe.
A Netrak Tefnut.
A Netrak Tefnut.
Tefnut.
Tefnut. Tefnut. Tefnut.
Nuke Tefnut. Twal Winter. A
Netrak Paut in Teru. Nuke Paut in Teru. A Netrak Imbu in Teru. Nuke Imbu in Teru.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. Dwa, 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 dwa. Now you know that it is bright in here because I did not know it could be seen across the street. I turned and a brother waved at me. I got distracted. Anyway, I did not really, we can be seen across the street. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so he was like this. Anyway, so please make sure that you are doing the opening of the way. The opening of the way is the ritual that marks our shrine. It was given to us by our shrine elder, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Sepata. That elder who has been leading individuals in the West and in fact around the world to the Kemetic tradition for over 50 years. And so we are so pleased that he brought this divine ceremony back into its current form. And so it is through this ceremony that we actually remember just how powerful we are, that we are divine entities, that we are absolutely able to do all of those things that come along with the divine. Our 5% brethren say that they are gods. And I think that's part of the understanding that our Kemetic ancestors brought into existence. Of course, then they say that women are earths, but it's not quite all the entire ancient wisdom. But please understand that this wisdom, this understanding, this philosophy allows us to actually do all things. There is actually only one true problem in the world. You heard what I said. One true problem. I know that you stopped there for a second and you said, Brother Jabari, I might have trouble paying my rent. Brother Jabari, I might have trouble actually feeding my children. I might have trouble paying the mortgage. I might have difficulties in my relationship. I might have difficulties living in a world that has absolutely been established upon the fetid undercurrent of white supremacy. I know that you are thinking that all of those are the most difficult, the most challenging problems, personal and global. And it's not that I disagree with you, but I want you to recognize that if you understood just how powerful you were, none of those challenges would be up to task with you. And so the opening of the way reminds you that you are a divine being, imbued with all of the divine powers. And so we ask that you do the opening of the way every day. Most likely at the beginning of the day, but also before you do anything of great importance, you should do the opening of the way. And once again, Dwa'u Tababa Heru Ankh Ra, Samad Sepata, for bringing it back into existence in the form that he placed it in. And so we are so pleased that you've joined us for Kemetic Ascension today.
Abu Jamar is here.
Abu Jamar, so another one of the members of the Wenwet, Abu Jamar is also in the house. Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at. Today what we'd like to do is we want to give you something that probably seems a little bit like a throwback. And it's a little strange it is a throwback because it's only for March. We are in July. But if you're like me, March doesn't feel like it was just a few months ago. March feels like it was like 6 years ago. With all of the things that we have been confronting over the last few months. It has been very, very, very challenging. And so what I'd like for you to do is take a look at this. We are going to show you what we usually do at this section of our Kemetic Ascension, what we call a Hesi. But we're not going to just do the Hesi in-house. What we'd like to do is give you a taste of what the Hesi was like when we were all full up. Well, we weren't quite full up, but we had people in-house. So please, take a look at this wonderful Hesi led by our Hesi masters. We're talking about Abut Noni Bastet, and we're talking about Abu Kepra. And so understand that they were leading this Hesi, and it was a joyful noise in the Shrine of Ma'at. Take a listen. So honored to be able to have people in our shrine now who focus on this. We have our Hesi masters, and that is amazing that they are here, that they are prepared to assist us in invoking divine energy and calling that power into ourselves. So, what do you have planned for us today?
always look at each other like, oh, who's gonna speak?
So we're going to do the chant that we actually did at the museum yesterday. The words Atah Sekemet Nefer Atum, Atah Sekemet and Hotep. So the Creator calling forth the Nefer Atum, the blossoming of the lotus, the coming forth from the crown, and then the Atah Sekemet Imhotep, which was the great one who healed so many things. And so we're going to start with that chant.
One more time.
Atah Sekemet Imhotep. We'll do it together, and then you can just come in. Atah Sekemet Atah Sekemet Imhotep. Atah Sekemet Atah Sekemet Imhotep. Atah Sekemet Neferatu, Atah Sekemet Imhotep, 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 Atah Sekemet I gotta excuse myself for
Didn't that feel like 87 years ago? I hope that you enjoyed that. It was great to see all of the folks that are regular at the Shrine of Ma'at Kemetic Ascension. So you saw our two Hesi masters. You saw Abu Noni Bastet. You saw Abu Kepra. But you also saw Abu Ames there as well. Another one of the Wenwet. And you probably also saw, I think that Sinette Abigail is watching, so she was in there too. And then on the side, you saw Sinette Adrian, two of the initiates of the Shrine of Ma'at, full members of the Shrine of Ma'at. So we had a really good time. Folks, we were trying to get that into the program so you could have seen it straight up, but for whatever reason, it wasn't accepting it. Just know that it might have been strange if you saw the video straight, because you might have thought people were back at the Shrine of Ma'at. And somebody would have said, how they gonna have people back there and didn't invite me? Anyway, understand that Hesi is a powerful, powerful tool. It allows us to once again galvanize divine energy in song, in chant. And so the spirits were very high that day, early March in the Shrine of Ma'at. And so we are so pleased that occurred, and we can't wait for it to occur again. You should know that we will be trying to actually have some events in the outdoors this summer, so that we're able to bring some of you who would like to be able to be part of Kemetic Ascension again back into the fold. But we're always going to do it in a way that we believe is going to be safe, because the last thing we want to do is imperil members of our community and their families. And so that is what we're going to be doing. We're looking forward to having you come back to the Shrine of Ma'at, to the Shrine of Ma'at, not in this location, but we'll be looking to do that outside. So we can't wait to do it, and we hope that you can't wait to return with us as well.
More initiates in the room.
Yes.
Sinette Kazi.
Sinette Kazi, Ankan Ma'at.
Let's see. Oh, and Temple of Anu is in the house.
Wonderful. Ankan Ma'at, Ankan Ma'at.
Mbara is with us. I see that Sinette Adrian and Sinette Lori are here.
Wonderful.
Sinette Sheree.
Wonderful.
So many of our people are
Adwa,
in
right?
Yes. Yes,
Good.
Sinette Adwa. So yes, our people are in the house.
Wonderful. And can we give a special welcome to the chief priestess of the Temple of Anu and Bara? It's good to see, well, it's good to know you're there. It would be better to see you, but soon we'll be able to return and gather once more. So,
Jehuti Mess.
Jehuti Mess is there. Wonderful, wonderful.
Sinette Adenike.
Sinette Adenike.
They are coming in today.
So folks are coming in. Good. We are glad that you are coming in. And we hope that you are going to, once more, in very, very short term, be able to do Hesi with us again. We truly look forward to the time when we're able to sing and laugh together again. At this point, we'll do it online. We are not going to let COVID-19 prevent us from gathering. And so I'm glad that you joined us. I'm glad that you are from all over the world. I've heard people from South America, from South Africa, from Paris, from all over the East Coast, all over the West Coast of the United States. It is wonderful that you are all here. So, at this point in Kemetic Ascension, we usually go into what we call a word from the Sebaït. A word from the Sebaït. And you might wonder, well, what is the Sebaït? The Sebaït is a genre of literature that our Kemetic ancestors put forward that could be translated as something like wisdom literature. It is the literature in which our Kemetic ancestors left their understanding of how to live a divine, sacred life that was focused on the practice of Ma'at. And so we try our best to read from those things that our ancestors left behind, to draw from their inspiration so that we can once more do what it is that our ancestors expected us to do. So that the African can once again bask in the sun at the forefront of human civilization. And so today I'd like to talk briefly about a topic that is really important in the Kemetic understanding of the world. I want to talk to you about sacred purification. And so today our teaching is called The Wisdom of the Sacred Purification. So let's move. So what exactly are you seeing here? I'm sure that you are all going to say that you see a bowl. What material do you believe it's made out of? Is it unusual? What are the things that make this bowl unique? You probably are first going to say that you notice that it has feet. And that is a beautiful thing. That's a wonderful thing that it has feet. We'll talk more about that in a moment. The other thing that I hope you are noticing is that this bowl is actually tilted forward. And of course, if you were going to carry a vessel, something that perhaps might have some sort of liquid in it, if you were going to carry it and you were going to now tilt it forward, you can understand that you should expect that its contents will spill forward. And of course, it's not just a tilted bowl, but it's a tilted bowl with feet. So perhaps the spilling forward is not an error, but it is intentional. It is part of our understanding of this spiritual implement, this spiritual tool, this spiritual device. And so, do we have any answers? Are folks actually saying what they think that this bowl is actually doing?
It says red clay that they think
It looks like it's made of red clay, okay.
with feet. One person says it's made of wood. A
Mm-hmm.
couple of people said wood.
It is a type of
One
ceramic.
says cherry wood.
It is a type of ceramic. It's not carved out of wood. Anyone notice that the bowl is tilted forward? Did anyone mention that?
No.
Well, let me talk a little bit more about this bowl. This bowl is known as a wab bowl. A wab bowl. And I think the thing that's so interesting about this tool is that it actually is a compound word. Just like we use in English every day, it is a compound word. So you have wa, which is the bowl, and the b is the feet. What am I saying? When you look at the glyphs in our sacred language of Ntuantur, you'll actually see that the bowl is wa and the feet are the b. So when you put them together, you get wab. Wab. And wab means to purify. So it is literally a tool for purification. And one of the things I love about the Kemetic language is that it is both phonetic and symbolic. Think about how masterful that is. It is both a left brain language and a right brain language. And I think that very few languages on the face of the planet Earth attempt to do both things. And so you could have looked at this tool and recognized something about it. And then you would have also actually noticed that what you understood about how it was structured actually was extremely, extremely instructive about the bowl. So, let's move. And so purification is of critical importance in ancient Kemet. Critical importance in ancient Kemet. Here is a passage from what are usually called the pyramid text. Now, I don't particularly like the word pyramid because some historians believe that the word pyramid actually may have come from pyrmis, which was a little rice cake that the Greeks used to fire in order to eat. And so if you believe that this incredible structure, this structure that actually defies all logic, this structure that can still not be completely understood today with the most modern of science and technology, this structure that housed the immortal souls of your Kemetic ancestors and did so much more, if you believe that they should be named by a small Greek rice cake, we can't help you. And so I want you to understand that we usually call these structures by two words, either myrrh, please say myrrh with me at home, or merkut. And they are two good words for what we used to call the pyramid. Let's snatch that word away and give it back to the Greeks. And so I like to call these the Merkuti or the Merkutu text. This actual passage comes from the text that was actually inscribed for King Unas of the 5th dynasty. This is utterance 253. Listen to what it says. It says, "Cleansed is he who is cleaned in the field of rushes. Cleansed is Ra in the field of rushes. Cleansed is he who is cleansed in the field of rushes. Cleansed is this Unas in the field of rushes." And so I want you to understand that what you are actually seeing is a description of the importance of purification. The importance of purification coming forth at somewhere around, let's say, 2200 BCE. This text is approaching 5,000 years old. And you're actually seeing your Kemetic ancestors talk about how the journey into eternity, the journey into your divine providence, actually comes through cleansing. You can see that Unas is connected with Ra because he is now an immortal soul. And in order to be one, just as Ra is cleansed, Unas must be cleansed. And so this is a powerful, powerful reminder in the earliest stages of the importance of purification. Keep in mind that the Merkut text, or as has been misnomered, the pyramid text, form the oldest body of spiritual literature. Did you hear what I said? The oldest body of spiritual literature. Thousands of years before the Torah or the Pentateuch, thousands of years before the Bible, thousands of years before the Quran. This makes up the world's earliest set of spiritual literature. And so this lets us know that from the earliest times, from time immemorial, your African ancestors placed a very high premium on spiritual purification. And you're going to actually see this is an image of Unas's Merkut. And it doesn't look much like a Merkut today because later people, primarily the people that came with the Arab invasion, actually took almost all of the finely polished Tura limestone off of the Merkut. And so now it looks almost like a pile of rubble. And I must say to you, if these are the ancient people, if these people who live in the region today are ones that would like to be associated with, connected to those great ones who actually created this structure, then why would they seek to destroy it? This is what foreign people do. Usurpers. And perhaps that's why the concept of purification has become so lost in our modern world. Let's continue. You're actually seeing here an image that is usually called the judgment scene. And it comes forward from the text that has been misnomered the Book of the Dead. And I'm going to say to you that the only reason why the Western people, the Tamhu, called it the Book of the Dead is because they found it with people who had made their transition. This is a horrible term. A horrible term. In fact, if you find it with people who have made their transition, perhaps you should call it the Book of Everlasting Life, because that is what the text was seeking to assist them in granting. But no, it was called the Book of the Dead by these Western people. We know that the book's name, its proper name, is the Reyu, Pert, Emhemru, and Ger. Please say this along with me at home. The Reyu, Pert, Emhemru, and Ger. And that translates to something like the book of coming forth today from night. And so maybe we could have translated it as something like the book of the Great Awakening. That is how Baba Heru Ankara Samad Se Pata actually translates it. Maybe we could call it the Book of Illumination. Consider coming into the day from night, coming from a place of darkness into a place of light. So perhaps this should be better called the Book of Illumination, the Book of Awakening, the Book of the Dead not. And so in this particular book, and I know that many of you have seen this scene before, you are going to find a description of purification. How many of you are reading your sacred Kemetic text? If you are not reading those texts, how can you ever believe that you will return to the forefront of human civilization? How can you ever believe that you will be able to emulate these great, mighty Africans if you are not reading the words they left for you to emulate? And so, let us read this section. It says, I have come advancing to make a declaration of right and truth, to place the balance upon its supports within the amaranthine bushes. Hail exalted upon his standard, the Lord of the Atef crown, making his name as the Lord of winds. Deliver me from thy messengers who make to happen dire deeds, who make to arise calamities without covering their faces, because I have done right and truth, O Lord of right and truth. I am pure, my breast is washed, my hinder parts are cleansed, my interior hath been in the pool of right and truth, without a member in me lacking. I have been purified in the southern pool. I have rested in Kemetic to the north, of the field of the grasshoppers. Bathe the divine sailors in it at the season of night to gratify the hearts of the Neteru. Once again, we are seeing a passage uniquely connected to cleansing. And I like this passage even more because it reminds us that cleansing is not just something that occurs on the outside. They made sure that you knew that you had to be cleansed in a pool of ma'at. right and truth, both on the outside and the inside. Purification is greater than those showers you take in the morning before you run to work. Purification is a sacred act. It is something that your ancestors, in fact the Neteru, expect you to be able to do. And in fact, as you are looking at the slide, can they see this slide?
It's too small to read.
It's small? I'm sorry it's so small. I just want you to look on the second slide at the third line. You're going to see bathe is abet. And what is the first glyph that you see in abet? What if you see the first glyph in I have been purified in the second line? Are you seeing the bowl with the feet? I think that that's beautiful. So you're actually seeing, once again, the symbol for purification, the Wa vessel. And I really hope that you are continuing to read from your sacred text. I really hope that you are, because you are going to learn that your ancestors left so much behind for you. Your purification actually will gratify the heart of the Neteru. We must engage in divine purification. Here's another very important note of purification. Some of you may be familiar with the Nubian, with the Cushitic ruler, whose name used to be transcribed as Pianki. Pianki. Today, historians generally render his name as Pa. Please say Pa with me. Say Pa at home with me. Because our ancestors believe that in order for them to live into eternity, we needed to continue to say their names. And that, in fact, saying their names was a verbal libation. It was feeding their soul. And remember a fundamental principle of the universe. That which you feed is that which lives. And so we must feed the name of this ancestor Pa. Listen to him describe the importance of sacred purification. He says, when you arrive at Waset, before Ipet Isut, you shall enter into the water, you shall bathe in the river, you shall dress in fine linen, unstring the bow, loosen the arrow. Who is he speaking to here? It should be clear that he's talking to his soldiers, because Pa is sending his Cushitic soldiers north to put Kemet back together. The foreign people who are all over Kemet have actually left it in disarray, have left it in chaos. And there are people in every portion of the land calling themselves king, doing things that would not be pleasing to the original Kemetic ancestors. And so their ancestors, their compatriots, the Nubians, must come forward in order to right the ship. And so he's speaking to his soldiers. Before they go to battle, they must undergo great spiritual purification. Let's continue. Let not the chief boast as a mighty man. There is no strength to the mighty without him. He makes the weak-armed into the strong-armed, so that the multitudes flee from the feeble, and one alone can take 1,000 men. Who is the him he's referring to here? He's talking about the chief boast about how powerful he is, but he's saying there's no strength without. In this instance, he is probably speaking of Amen, also known as Amun. He's saying there is no strength without Amun. And that this divine energy will allow the weak armed to be the strong armed. And that one man can actually take 1,000 while the multitudes flee. Powerful. Let's continue. He says, sprinkle yourselves with the water of the altars of Amun. Sniff the ground before Amun. And say to Amun, give us the way. that we might fight in the shadow of your sword. As for the generation whom you have sent out, when its attack occurs, multitudes flee before it. Now, can you imagine? He is giving you, what would we call this? He's saying this is what you should say upon the altars of Amun. What would we call the phrase that he's giving them to say? In the Kemetic tradition, we would call this hekau, words of power. He is literally giving them something that must be said so that they can have their divine battle go in the favor of restoring Kemet. I just think that you could even just take this piece right here when you're about to go into battle. Yes, I know you're not going to take a sword to work. Well, it kind of depends on what kind of job you have. But I know that that's not likely the kind of place you work in. But do you not have to do battle every day? Young people, I know that you don't take a sword to school. Well, I guess it depends on what kind of school you go to. But I know that you will have to do battle. If it is not intellectual battle, you will have to do battle every day. You should actually listen to your ancestor PA as he explains to you how to use divine energy to dispel those who seek to do you harm. And he's fundamentally saying that this is done through purification. This is on what is usually called the victory stele today. And so these are translations of his ancient words. And you will see many scenes, many scenes of purification in Kemet. Here is one that you will see in the temple that today people usually call Kamambo, but it was probably called Nubd, the temple of Nubd. And you are seeing on the left side Jehuti or Tehuti, and on the right side you are seeing Heru. And they are spiritually purifying. And I want you to understand that as they spiritually purify, you should also consider this a baptism. Consider this a baptism. I want you to look at how the baptized hands look unusual. This is connected to the position of adoration. I'm not going to speak more about this here. In order to see this clearly, you should come with us on one of our museum tours. And so you would be able to see this. And then on the right, you are seeing the purification of Amenhotep I. Amenhotep I, who is the son of King Amos and Queen Amos Nefertari. And he is being purified. Can you see that they're pouring what would look like water, but the water looks like ankhs? They're giving him divine everlasting life. That's what both of these individuals are receiving. And you should see that this is a powerful, powerful, powerful purification. And so I hope that you recognize that it is through purification that you can have everlasting life. That is what they are attempting to say here at a very simplistic level. And I want you to get that. Why is this not disappearing? There we go. I want you to get that in Epetesut, in the temple of Karnak, you are actually going to see a large purification lake that was used by the priests to purify themselves. And so purification, once again, is of critical importance. By the way, I know that there are sometimes people, and if you've watched me online, you know that sometimes I get challenged by people who are not people who believe in divine energy. They are people who we would consider likely atheists. And sometimes they say, well, what you're doing is kooky, Jabari, and it's really annoying. But I want you to understand that science is still now trying to catch up to the spiritual world. And so here are two studies, one that was actually posted in the National Library of Medicine for the National Institutes of Health, And that one says that the physical and mental effects of bathing are absolutely something that can be measured. It was done, this is a Japanese study actually, and it's really interesting. You should take a look at that one. And you could also look at Psychology Today describing the power of a shower. And this is them describing what people report happens after a good shower. So I want you to understand that science is catching up. Now, I do not actually find them the importance in ensconcing themselves in divine energy. Would likely say that it was always science, but you can't do that. I'd like for you to show me the scientific study from thousands of years ago, like I showed you the spiritual description of the importance of purification thousands of years ago. You will not find it. And the reason why you won't find it is because the same people who were telling you of its spiritual benefits were the world's first scientists as well. When you try to separate science from spirituality, you are on a fool's errand. So, it is so important for you to undergo these purifications. I'm going to say to you that in the era of the novel coronavirus, in the era of COVID-19, if we didn't get the importance of purification, I'm telling you that people ain't washing their hands. I know that Anika has been saying for at least 20 years that she wishes that people would stop shaking hands. She's been saying it for about 20 years. I keep saying to her, Anika, that's not going to stop. And she says, well, someone needs to tell them they should stop doing it. She's been saying it for 20 years. I'm telling you, in this period where people are not shaking hands, she is completely comfortable. She is really comfortable. She actually, if she had the resources, would be putting public service announcements on television. In fact, she'd been doing it 2 decades ago about how dirty people are because they don't wash their hands. I know that each and every one of you have gone to the bathroom and maybe you saw a coworker and he came out and said, hey, how you doing? And walked right out the door. You're like, ain't you gonna wash your hands? I'll never forget the scene from the movie that was supposed to be featuring the life of oh goodness, now I'm having a senior moment. What's the name of the boxing promoter? Don King. And in that movie, it was really funny. I think Don King was played by Ving Rhames at the time. He actually was there with one of his colleagues, and they both used the bathroom. And Don King was using the bathroom, and his colleague said, ain't you gonna wash your hands? And he said, I washed my hands before. Family, please wash your hands. See, science is catching up with spirituality, right? Well, let me say to you that there are some things that you should also consider using in your spiritual bath. So that you're not just dealing with cleanliness on sort of a scientific level, which if you ask me is a lower vibration, but also dealing with it on a spiritual level, which is clearly a higher vibration. Listen to some of the things that you might put in your spiritual bath. You might use sea salt, baking soda, or clay. You can add a large array of herbs like lemongrass and chamomile and dandelion, all sorts of flowers, pine, and when I say pine, I mean even the needles and the cones, eucalyptus, hops, linden flowers is a good one, by the way, mint, sage, stinging nettle, and rosemary. These are all things that have different purposes. I'm not going to go into them in great detail now. You might use different ones for different things. So you can imagine that chamomile is soothing to the spirit. And so that's one of the reasons why you would use that. I want you to take down this list. And here's your homework. Homework? Yes, you have homework from Kemetic Ascension. I want you to look at why you might use these different herbs. And while you're at it, take a look at the essential oils. If you are a practitioner, if you are seeking to actually draw energy like your ancestors did, you have to do some research. It's not going to be good enough for you to listen to this bald-headed glassed brother up here telling you this. You got to do your own work. So I'm going to tell you what chamomile is used for. I'm not going to tell you what eucalyptus is used for. But you should know that each of these has different reasons why you might actually use them. You know that we purify often our shrine with white sage, with sweet sage bush. And you're going to see sage is on there. What kind of purification does sage give you? And now let's talk about the essential oils. You could actually use lavender. Lavender, once again, has been scientifically proven to calm people down. There was a point where aromatherapy was considered new age foolishness by those Western people who didn't want to hear. And then some of them started using it. And so then the scientific experiments come.
So you're going to talk about chamomile?
I just said a little bit about chamomile.
Okay.
Why?
Just a little bit more.
You want me to say more about chamomile? Why?
I think it's important. People want to know. And I see someone who's doing a spiritual bath right now as you're preparing one as you're speaking.
That was odd. She was like, you going to talk about chamomile? I said a little bit about chamomile.
Okay.
Chamomile soothes the spirit. So that when you come out of the literal cacophony, the din, the chaos, the chaotic environment from the outside, if you come indoors and right as you come in, you do a chamomile bath, it will actually allow you to better center. That is why you use chamomile. In fact, many nights, the last thing I have at night is Egyptian chamomile. That's what it's called. You know, I don't use the word Egyptian. But when I purchase it, it's called Egyptian chamomile. And so that's usually what I have before I go to bed at night. And it helps me sleep a bit more soundly. And so chamomile has many, many important properties. There are even, you should know, some fruits that you might want to use in there. I'm not going to talk to you about some of them. What are some of the fruits that you have used in your spiritual baths, if you have used them? What are some of the fruits that you have used? I know that someone's going to type lemon. Couldn't you put lemon in the bath? What would that do for you? And then when we look at essential oils, lavender does something similar to chamomile. These days what people do is they go to the store and they get a little container of lavender essential oils. By the way, they're usually very poor quality, but they still work. You can put a few drops of lavender on your pillow and it usually helps people sleep more deeply. And so you should take a look at this. Orange, flower, the flower of the orange, jasmine, grapefruit, and mint. I'm talking about the oils now, not the fruits themselves. What are the fruits that you have used? Did you know that fruits were meant for cleansing? Did you know that?
Someone added lime.
Lime. Lime and lemon are similar. Say again?
Sinette Lauren.
Sinette Lauren.
Sinette Adenike says cucumber.
And what has cucumber? Now I know Sinette Adenike has done a lot of purification. As she is one of our initiates, it is very clear that she has been in the tradition for a long time. Sinette Adenike, please tell the group what you have used cucumber for. What has your cucumber spiritual bath been used for? Some of the conversation that you're going to have in the chat room is better than what you're going to have listening to me. So please listen to folks who have been using these things because they are practitioners. So please, Sinette Adenike, please tell us about what you have used cucumber for in your spiritual baths. So you can see this brother here doing a spiritual bath. You can see this brother doing a spiritual bath. It is absolutely essential for you to be able to move forward in power, because you know that our ancestors have said that it is extremely important for you to purify yourself. Now, let me say this as well. You don't have to just purify using liquids. You can also purify using things that you can burn or smoke. Those tend to purify the atmosphere. And so you're going to see that usually, by the way, if you are going to do what we call smudging, which is usually purifying using smoke, please make sure you are using a fire-safe vessel. You're going to see that you can get one of these wonderful rainbow abalone shells. They're excellent for fire. You can actually use it, and it will allow you to burn things and not burn down your house. There are so many people. Can you see it here? Mm-hmm. See, it's an abalone shell. And often they come with these carved wooden stands. So you can do that. This is usually what people will use for smudging with sweet sage grass.
Mm-hmm. Edward says you can add 3 drops of Florida water in your spiritual
water. What is Florida water used for? I want you to talk to me about Florida water. Here's our Florida water right here. Here it is. I didn't mention Florida water, but it's definitely something that people have been using for purification for a very long time. By the way, Florida, they're talking about flora, so it's really flowers. It's not connected to the state Florida. But it's also a very, very powerful purification tool. I am sure, and I have not been able to prove this yet, I just have been so busy. I am sure that if you were using Florida water during the pandemic, I bet you that Florida water will kill the coronavirus. I bet you. Someone please do the research. Jabari is too busy. I was looking to figure out if it could. And I'm going to tell you that I guarantee you that Florida water would kill the coronavirus. So you should definitely also use Florida water to do that as well. People often use Florida water to clean down their altars. That's one thing that people use it for. And so you should be prepared to use those sorts of things. So you're seeing here herbs or incense that you can use. We see frankincense and myrrh. Obviously, these have been sacred scents for a very long period of time, long before the Bible. Please don't go back there. We're talking about, they were newcomers to frankincense and myrrh. You're going to actually also see white sage. That's what we were talking about before. So you're actually seeing, I believe this bundle in the picture is actually white sage bush. And also Palo Santo. Palo Santo actually is a tree that comes from South America. And I'm going to say to you that if white sage bush is for purification, it's like purifying with a blowtorch. I would use white sage to purify an area. But if you're going to purify yourself, you can still use sage. I like to use Palo Santo. And I'm going to say to you, Priestess Anika has never been a gigantic fan of sage. She clearly smudges and she uses sage. But she prefers Palo Santo. So you will smell her burning it at almost any time. So she really does like Palo Santo. Now, someone said to me the other day, someone who was a skeptic said, well, the ancient Egyptians didn't use the Palo Santo. And I said, yes, I'm aware. And they said, well, why are you using it? I said, well, because I'm in the United States and it's one of the things that's available in the Americas. I just looked at him and he was puzzled because I think he thought that was a gotcha question. Like I was going to say, they didn't. Oh no, now what? The reality is that we are going to, while we are focused on our Kemetic practices and our Kemetic spiritual tools, we have benefited from some of the things that other people around the world have used. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, we have a question.
Yes, can you use sea salt and pink Himalayan salt?
Yes, Himalayan salt, I actually, to be very honest with you, I probably like the sea salt better for purification. Why? Because my Himalayan salt I like to eat better. I like it better to eat it on the inside. And so Himalayan salt has a lot more minerals, so does sea salt. But you can see that some of the colors that some of these salts come in can tell you the kinds of minerals that they contain. And a lot of the processed salts that people use, the stuff that they call table salt, by the way, you can use table salt for purification as well. You can. If you're using those kinds of things and you're eating them, you'll note that you want to get more of the minerals in, because some of the processed salts have fewer minerals in them. In fact, that's the reason why they have to put some back into it after the process. And so I usually eat and cook with Himalayan sea salt, the pink sea salt. And I'm going to tell you also, I often also use a red salt from Hawaii to cook with. It is extremely salty, so you have to be very cautious with it, because you'll do 2 dashes and then your whole meal will be destroyed. But it comes with such minerals that it's amazing. So for example, if I'm going to cook some sort of grain, like let's say I'm going to be steaming some, what might I steam? I think I would actually be boiling more quinoa, but I could use it in quinoa. All of the grains that you might eat. When I use my Hawaiian salt, it actually has a higher taste profile, and it's actually better for you. So if you're going to use salt, that's what you should
Your
use.
Brussels sprouts.
I do use it in my Brussels sprouts a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
There's a question, where can you get Florida water?
You're gonna get Florida water. You can get it online, by the way, these days. You know, Amazon sells almost everything, right? So you can get Florida water on Amazon.
Botanicas.
You can definitely get it at Botanica, but of course, if you're living in a city like Anika and Jabari, gentrification has closed a lot of Botanicas because the rents are so high, and half of the people that live in the area are afraid of them, which is ridiculous, so they don't go inside. But if you can find a Botanica nearby, some of the stuff that I'm talking about you're going to find there. Okay? Okay. And so the other one that I did not mention is called kaifi or kapet. Some people today call it kaifi or kapet. This was the special mix of incense that was used in ancient Kemet. There are a few ancient recipes that have remained. I'm going to say to you that the Shrine of Ma'at, hopefully soon, will be selling kapet, because you should know that it is the incense that was used in ancient Kemet in the temple. And it's a special mixture of certain other herbs and spices to be able to create it. Okay.
We have some people who have said that Florida water can be found in dollar stores.
You can find it in a dollar store?
At pharmacies. Some grocery stores sell it.
Where do y'all live that y'all could find it in a grocery store? That's probably the same grocery store that has the candles that people are using to... That's not my grocery store. But if you can find it there, you should get it, definitely. It is one of those tools that you'll use for purification, absolutely. And once again, remember your fireproof vessel if you're going to be doing smudging or purification with smoke. I mentioned abalone shell. You can also use an iron container. That's also something that you will see used. I'm going to say to you that you're going to see that ancient Africans used incense earlier than any other people on the planet. I will stand by that. Show me something older, and I will actually move away from that. Your ancient African ancestors used this for a long time. And in fact, you will actually hear that Kemetic rulers would send expeditions to the places where they would get their incense. I'll never forget that Anika and I were in Ethiopia, and we were going to one of the stone-carved churches, and I saw a woman outside who was selling incense. And Anika was off speaking to the tour guide, and so I was talking with the woman, and I said, "Well, who made this incense?" She said, "I did." I said, "Wow, who taught you?" She said, "My mother did." I said, "Wow, did your mother sell it?" "Yes." "Who taught her?" "Her mother taught her." She was getting a little annoyed by now. And so finally I asked her, I said, "Well, how long has your family doing this?" And I saw her back get majestically straight. And she looked at me right in my eyes and she said, "We have always done this." And I thought it was just such a powerful commentary from a queen who is aware of her lineage and aware of what her family has done since time immemorial. You should know that your ancient Kemetic ancestors would send expeditions into that same area that she was in to get incense. And so for her to say she's done it forever, perhaps her foremothers, because it seems like the women in her line do it, perhaps her foremothers were actually giving this to the Kemetic people. Perhaps the Kemetic people themselves, before they moved into Kemet, when they were still into the interior of Africa, learned it along with her family before they made their journey northward. That was just a beautiful thing. By the way, after she said that I wanted to buy all of the incense she had, and I didn't have any money. We had just gotten off the plane. I don't think I had any Ethiopian money, and she wouldn't take anything else. Anika had some. So Anika did not hear the conversation. She got there and she was looking at me with this look that said, you know that when you've been married for 19 years, at that point it was like 16 or 17 years. You can tell what your spouse is saying before they say it. You know what the look she was giving me is? We just got off the plane and you're spending our money. That is the look she was giving me. But if she had heard the conversation, she would have been with me. So I was just like, please, just trust me that we have to buy some of this. So anyway, when you come to the shrine, perhaps you'll be able to smell some of the incense that we brought back from Ethiopia. So I want you to understand that your purification is a tool for your empowerment. Take a look at this priest pouring water for, I believe that this is actually Mut. This is in Epetesut, the temple that has been misnomered as Karnak. And he's actually also giving her purification or giving her an offering with smoke. Can you see this item that he has in his hand? The hooked area closest to him is actually the head of Heru. And then you'll see on the end a hand that has a vessel that holds a iron. It's probably a copper item that allows him to burn incense towards the divine. Your people have been doing this since time immemorial. Remember your purifications. They will allow you to live a life in balance, to be prepared to go into battle with all those things, all of those entities, all those individuals who want to see you lose. You can win. Prepare for battle. Do your purification. It is of critical importance. You have heard that our ancestors have told you that it was among the chief of their practices. If you are not doing it, you are not really preparing. If you're not working your altar, you are not really preparing. If you're not engaging in meditation, in Hesi, in ritual, you are not preparing. Today is about giving you some information on one of the other tools that you should have in your Kemetic spiritual tool chest. I hope that you will afford yourself of it. Twan and I say the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. Thank you so much. Can we go into our final affirmation?
Twa'u. And yes, Jabari is correct. I love some Palo Santo and I use it all the time, anywhere that I am. And it actually does provide me a lot of peace, a lot of tranquility. Whenever I have a very stressful day or I have a lot on my plate, I tend to burn it and it really calms me down. So I highly suggest using that if you haven't. I even have the Palo Santo spray. And our sister priest in Brooklyn, Abut Yendis, sells Palo Santo spray and possibly even Palo Santo sticks.
She does. I've seen her with the sticks
yes,
as well.
so please support her. We are trying to get those black businesses out there. So Twa'u to Hemet and Bara, who mentioned Nicholas in Brooklyn as well. So get out there and get those supplies and use them for your benefit.
Yes, you're actually going to see Palo Santo now sold, if you're in the Harlem area, at the Mart on 116th Street.
Yes.
Very interesting that they're doing that now as well.
Twa'u, for those who've already made donations, if you could please, those who would like to make donations, I did post on Facebook where you can make them, but for those of you who are not on Facebook, please visit our webpage, www.shrineofma'at.org/events, and there's a donate link there that you can use. Or if you're on Cash App, our handle on Cash App is Shrine of Ma'at, so please feel free to make your donations there as well. And we appreciate all of you who are here with us today. Twa'u, thank you to all the newcomers. You know, we saw people from all around the world today, and we were very happy to have you here. There's a sister, Alexandria, who has 4 of her daughters, black daughters here, watching the show, and she's very excited to have them,
wonderful.
Experience this. So we're glad that you are here with us on YouTube.
Wow.
Yes, yes. So I would like to share with you the oldest prayer ever written, ever known within the Reu and Pert Emhiru and Ger, which Jabari mentioned earlier, is the book of, or the chapters of the coming forth from today from night. So we are going to first speak it in our ancient language, which is the Medu Netter or the Umtu Unter, and then we will translate it into English. So I do it in the pose of adoration, and I offer this to you. Amasu and Pante.
Amasu and Pante.
Sauksu and Ran Pante.
Sauksu and Ran Pante.
Autu Aura.
Autu Aura.
Maketi Paherura.
Maketi Paherura.
Twa'u and Ter. Give yourself to the One Most High. Keep yourself daily for the divine, and do it tomorrow just as you did it today. Thank you to the Creator. Thank you to all of you. Shem Metep. Go forth in peace.
We'll see you soon. Please make sure you say congratulations to those initiates that will be completing their process tomorrow. If you are one of their close friends, they might even tell you when they're going to have their coronation. So let me say, have a wonderful day, and please get out there and get active, but be safe. All right, Ankh and Ma'at, Shem and Matap. We'll see you soon.